Willkommen, Huanan, and welcome to SAF1. It's time to get racing again, and the countdown has already begun. We're here for our next round in the championship. We're heading out to the Cathedral of Speed at Monza in Italy. My name is Webbo, and I'm very pleased to be joined tonight by someone we've all been waiting to hear from. It's Tim. Hey, Tim.
Hello, Webbo, and how are you doing? And big thank you to everyone for letting me join the SAF1 Esports. I know it's been quite a while. Was supposed to be here last week. Unfortunately, could not make that race, but I am glad to be here finally in Monza.
Yeah, you picked a good one to start. I called it the Cathedral of Speed, but sometimes I find it's the Mausoleum of Dreams around here.
I have always considered it the dasher of hopes, the crusher of dreams, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a podium.
Yeah, if you could stay on the black stuff, I think you're probably okay. But yeah, Ascari tends to like swallowing drivers, and there's traps all the way around this track. Last week we had a little bit of a turn up for the books with a different result, certainly a different winner. And we were pleased to welcome Mackett to the winner's rostrum. We saw Rai come in second, and then after a penalty removal, Phantom was reinstated onto the podium in P3. Duckster, unfortunately, slipping back, missing the podium by 4/10. But I know you've been looking into the championship standings right now, Tim.
Yes, and after his win last week, Mackett has moved himself up into the 8th position. But up in the top 3, we've got Mad Trav in the Mercedes with 87 points, Phantom in second with 75 points, and then 63 points belonging to Dukester with Don Rabico and Quentin, your top 5 with 56 and 51 points respectively. Scuderia Ferrari, fittingly enough, since we're in Monza today, has 106 points to Mercedes 99 in second, McLaren in third with 90. 80 belongs to Alpine, and then 66 to Red Bull with Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, Haas, Williams, and Alpha Tauri, with being the remainder of the field.
Fantastic stuff. It's only the 4th round though, so we've got a little bit of time before we start counting down championship connotations. I must just say a big thank you to our sponsors, Rabico Holdings, DR Developments, and Quintessential Photo and Video Works, without whom we would not be racing here tonight. Let's talk about racing here tonight. We're out there in Q1 already, and it looks like Phantom is first on track and getting the tyres warmed up and ready to go, just attacking the Lesmos. And tyre warming, not too difficult around here, but the long straights do tend to cool things down a bit, Tim.
Yeah, they certainly do, and you can see Phantom there just weaving back and forth, trying to make sure that there is enough to eat in those soft tires as he is approaching the Ascari chicane. But like you said, definitely not a difficult track to make sure that your tires are up to speed, and you're up to temperature, and you definitely want to have temperature underneath your car when you're going into turn number 1, especially because you are going to be carrying so much speed. You have got to make sure that you hit that braking point just perfectly to get the ideal lap, because the first sector can really do a lot. It can pay dividends to your lap, or it can hurt you tremendously.
I couldn't agree more. Riding with Phantom then, how about you take us through a lap around this Monza track, Tim?
And on board with Phantom, it's a very hard braking zone into turn 1. Used to be able to use a lot of curve, but can't do that anymore. Got to be very careful. Can't go too wide out of turn number 2, as you can see, because there's very little room for error until you get into the gravel trap. This is a nice straightforward section here, even though you're turning just slightly right, but not too overwhelming, I should say. Then you get another chicane right here. Be careful, because once again, a place you used to be able to use curve, but not anymore. And then you have the 2 Lesmo corners. It's going to be a very, very tight racing around here. You can go side by side, but both drivers have to give an ample amount of room. Right after that, you exit this corner, and then you go down the straightaway. There is a DRS zone here, so you are going to see a lot of overtakes into the Ascari chicane. The Ascari chicane is right here, but do not use too much curb, especially that right side. You see Phantom, he just barely touched the right front wheel to that curb, and it gave him enough rotation, but any more, and he would have been spinning around. Then we got another nice straightaway going into Parabolica. And in Parabolica, if you go to the outside, let's see if Phantom tries this. If you get those left side tires into that green, there is actually just a little bit of grip that you can use to your advantage. Then you go down the straightaway, crossing the line, a 120.600 for Phantom.
Nice work from Phantom, nice work from yourself, Tim, as the Alfa Romeos make it an Italian 1-2-3 with the first laps out there, which is pretty neat. Calvin is both in the live chat and he's watching along as well, so we'll join him as he's the next one attacking a lap. I see Kimi. Kimi, a recent joiner to the league, very quick driver that I've had the pleasure of watching in other leagues. Kimi in 16th is having a go on the mediums in the Alpha Tauri, but we ride with Calvin as he tries to navigate a bit of a traffic jam as he heads in towards Variante della Roggia, and now the Lesmos all looking pretty smooth. It looked like Phantom was driving with something of a margin through that Q1 and first attempt, but I'm imagining, Tim, that he was just aware that the track yet to fully rubber in.
Yes, and also I do have to say it is a bit of a different environment for me to have to do 3 qualifying sessions. So
right.
as you said, it is Q1. For those of you who may not be familiar, we will have 3 qualifying sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3, then we will start our race. So these drivers, they need to make sure that they advance into their respective sessions.
Exactly. Just don't be in the bottom. That's the objective here. Now, I can't tell you with 16 starters just how many we lose in the first 2 sessions. It does tend to flex slightly with how many starters we're expecting. Of course, we won't have fewer than 10 in the Q3, but it may be that we are planning to lose between 1 and 3 drivers at the end of this session. So that's the objective for everybody. Kimi going pretty brave out here. A 21.3 on medium tyres. I'm sure he'll have to go again, but we'll see how the rest of the drivers fare in their next laps. We've got quite a line of drivers just approaching the Della Roggia chicane, and just behind them is Not Shumi in the Aston Martin, starting to attack the lap. We've got some yellow flags, cars getting in and out of each other's ways, but hopefully everybody's cleared in time for Not Shumi to arrive. But about 4, 5 drivers, 6 drivers total in the pits right now, so hopefully there's enough room on track for everybody, Tim, today.
And hopefully so, as I watch Maddie enter parabolic, and now Quentin in the Red Bull. Maddie's teammate, he just went a 120.630, good enough for third. Let's see what Maddie's time is going to be. Hugging that inside line and crossing the line, he goes to 7th, a 121.899. Interesting,
obviously leaving something of a margin out there, especially compared to Kimi's medium time. For Matti, a 21.899 will not do tonight to get yourself through to Q2. I can be fairly certain, unless we have a series of accidents through Ascari. Not Shumi then, stretching for the line, taking the inside line, and a P3, a 20.700, and it's pretty close there at the top, Tim.
That it really is. Look at Phantom, a 120.6. He's still on top of the board, and that was the first lap set in this session. And then, of course, you have Ama Alonso in 120.615, so very close there, and then a 120.7. So the top 3 separated by just a 1/10 of a second, and SAF1 Quentin, a 120.474.
Yeah, it really improves big time for Quentin. I think that was the second lap on his soft tyres, so it doesn't matter in this session how you use the tyres. They'll throw all the sets away that they use in this session, but it's all important how the tyres are used in the next one. You probably won't see many drivers doing back-to-back laps, however clear the track is in Q2, because that will be their starting race tyres, and we go to full commitment for Q3, of course. Vino's had a problem going through Della Roggia, a little bit of overspeed in the first corner, rode the huge middle curbs in the second corner, and that's that lap pretty much done with. So we'll join Simps instead, racing with interesting colour scheme on his helmet, and matching Haas gloves to his Haas team car, P10. And Tim, I've not asked any co-commentators this question before, but how are the Haas team generally regarded in the US? Are they popular, or are they a little bit of a disappointment at this stage?
Well, you assume that most Americans actually know that the Haas F1 team exists, which, me personally, the only people I know who actually know it exists are the ones I've told about. F1, sadly enough, at least in my area, is not very popular, but I can say from a personal perspective that I used to be a fan, used to being the key word there, as Sims actually has spun in Parabolica. I do want to clarify, I don't hold anyone in this league driving a Haas. I don't hold that against them. My problems are solely with the real Haas, so I did not just try to do a commentator's curse there for Sims.
That was good. It was definitely good. You used to be a fan, but a pirouette by Sims is not going to encourage you towards being a fan of the real-life Haas team. Now, the drivers, I believe, are randomly assigned, although whether the champion from the previous season has the right to choose their team, I think will probably be true. Mad Trav, talking of champions, Mad Trav at 19.911, and the first of our drivers into the 1 minute 19s and takes provisional pole.
Yeah, Mad Trav definitely not messing around here in this Mercedes. And let's go ahead and take a look at the other Haas car. That is of Ralph there. Ralph in the Haas. Oh, going through turn one and a little bit of a slide there. Got a little too much curve, but hangs on to it. So far, so good. Might have lost a little bit of time, but, you know, at this point, it's really just about getting a banker lap. He should have enough time to set another lap as long as he can keep this one clean. Absolutely.
It's actually a nice luxury for the drivers to have, because Q1 is the same length as normal short qualifying that you get in many other leagues, where there's a lot of pressure. So 3 or 4 opportunities to put in a banker lap or a lap good enough to get you through to the next stage. As Rye might be able to hold on to this lap and bank it at least. 7.5 minutes remain of Q1 until the checkered flag falls, by which everyone must have started their final attempt. Rye just, he's pushing hard through Ascari, certainly taking a fair few risks going through there, Tim.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and correct myself. It is Rye, not Ralph. I called him Ralph. For some reason, it looked like an F right there at the end of his name, but it's not. It's Rye, and Rye did very good through Parabolica. Maybe a little squirrely, but held onto the car very nicely, and he goes to 11th, a 121.201.
Nice job from him. I think Vino, well, he's trying again, but he's invalidated again. In the middle of that lap from Rye, we've got Don Rabico on a 21.131. Again, probably expecting a little bit more. Rosardi goes towards the line for his second attempt, and it was no improvement this time out. Who else have we actually got running a lap right now? I'm showing as Rye on 0 laps, but that can't be right. He hasn't had time to go in and come round again, but he is pushing. He's got his teammate on the inside in the middle of the Lesmos, just getting out of the way. Rye driving a very loose setup, Tim. He looks like it's a handful.
Yeah, I noticed that in turn 1 when he was on his flying lap. Of course, he did use a little bit too much curve, I believe, but you know, that's one thing that I've noticed with some drivers oh, talk about a loose setup. Rye, he clips the curb and spins around much like his teammate, so that's about as loose as you can get it.
So that's two victims of the Ascari 10 tonight, as Rye does a cheeky little reset to track but gets out of the way, and I think that's defendable, as there was a Mercedes coming up fast behind. It's Duckster joining late and hoping to get a lap done as he navigates out of Parabolica, temporarily referred to as Parabolica Alboreto for this year. And Duckster at 21.164 is a little bit lackluster, and he'll have to go in and try again on that one. Kimi, so far, the only driver to successfully set a time on the medium tyres, but Hamrick is on his way out as well, joining us pretty late, as Duckster did. Viking for the line, a 35.684 will not get the job done tonight, but maybe he's relying on somebody, multiple drivers crashing or being disqualified potentially. But yeah, I don't think Viking's lap is representative of his true speed. Interestingly, I just saw Neil in the McLaren getting out of the way of Viking, even though Neil was on an outlap. I thought he was on a push lap, but it must be an outlap here, or a charge lap at least. I think Viking is actually attacking the racetrack this lap out though, Tim.
Yeah, that's the banker lap of all banker laps for Royal Viking in 135, a huge margin to even his closest competitor. But as you said, that is likely not reflective of his true speed, and he's going to get a little bit of a slipstream going into the Ascari chicane as the car moves out of the way, so good sportsmanship there. And now let's see how Royal Viking navigates the Ascari chicane very carefully.
Very carefully, yeah, with extreme caution. Big lift as well, it seemed.
Oh yeah, but sometimes that's just how you have to do it, especially when you've seen as many cars as we have already today spin in the Ascari chicane. Sometimes it's just about surviving. And now let's see if Royal Viking is able to improve his time anymore. He crosses the line in 122.045.
So the time was an improvement, but it didn't really get him anywhere on the standings, a provisional grid at least. It looks like Hamrick's invalidated his first lap, piling the pressure on his next attempt. We've got Thiago in the Ferrari, and we know that Ferrari engines tend to do that a little bit better in Monza, Tim.
Yeah, and you got to think that with Phantom and Thiago Maestro in the Ferraris today, that it's at least in the back of their mind that, hey, it'd be pretty cool if I could get a podium here today, because it is Ferrari's home race as far as the country is concerned. So it's always a nice feel-good feeling when Ferrari is able to do well at their home Grand Prix, even if you're not a Ferrari fan. There's just something about it that is like, I'm happy for them. And even if it's in esports, it still just feels so right.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I think I've seen more victories for Alfa Romeo than I have Ferrari drivers around here. Thiago has he set a time, but I think again just a gentle charge lap. Maybe the driver's just feeling like they can get the best out of the tyres on the second lap tonight.
I'm currently watching DRS Neil. Thought for a minute he had a little bit of a moment out of the Ascari chicane. Big surprise there, right? But I think that he should be okay as he goes through Parabolic. But again, I think that this was just the lap that he was, really taking it calmly. So we're really not expecting him to set the world on fire here, and obviously he did not. It's going to stay in 12th, but maybe he's going to go for one more as you see cars getting out of the way down the front straightaway. That is Mercedes. Mad Trav still on the pole with a 119.991. Of course, we've still got 2 more qualifying sessions following this one, but Mad Trav so far the fastest car here.
Yeah, indeed. Looks like Phantom bailing on a lap, and he'll need to turn that car around pretty quickly if he's bothering. It looks like the top 6 are perhaps not going to get out there and try for another flying lap. Duckster registered as being up on his time, but he's now slowed. So again, 3 laps into this soft run. I think that's as fast as he's going to go tonight. We'll concentrate on the lower end of the field as the drivers struggle to find themselves some space on the racetrack and get themselves out of the danger zone. A little oversteer moment for Vino on the way out of Rettifilio as he is struggling. He's a second up, but sorry, 1/10 over his time at the moment. Really struggling to get this car around this racetrack cleanly. I'm not quite sure what the issue is so far, but we'll see how his second sector comes very soon.
Yeah, Vino a 127.704, definitely not what he's looking for, and undoubtedly will be getting knocked out of Q1 unless this lap is going to be just fast enough to get him into Q2, but we will have to wait and see as he goes through Ascari now. A little bit of a lockup there, not too bad, but that could hurt his lap time significantly. Oh, and he goes wide, somehow manages to not invalidate, and that's a very tricky corner, Webbo, to where sometimes you're going to invalidate, sometimes you're not. It really just depends. So he got very lucky to hang on to it there as he goes through Parabolica and using that green stuff, trying to keep a little bit of grip in that car, and as he crosses the line, does he improve? Not by enough.
No, he improved the time, but not the position. Some 5/10 off the car in front is Vino, with Viking just behind him. Hamrick yet to set a lap, but on one right now, and we'll see. But yeah, Ascari is definitely one of the biggest challenges lap after lap, and it's one of those places around the racing calendar where I think drivers just hold their breath every time they go round and breathe a sigh of relief when they survive. Some retirements coming in early on, people not going for it for another run out here, but Hamrick surviving Ascari this time out. We've got some cars just finishing their laps. I think is that Neil about to cross the line. No improvement. And an AlphaTauri, it was Kimi, went up to P2, 20.425 as Hamrick for the line, a 21.309, no improvement. I don't know if, well, Vino is nearly 0.3 faster than he's been before coming through here, so he may get up to P16, but it will be cold comfort, Tim, because I'm not sure it's going to save him from elimination.
No, likely not, but we'll see what he's able to do anyway. Vino crossing the line here, and you are correct, not going to save him, so he will lose out in Q1, not going to Q2, not going to Q3. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. He's going to have to make up everything in the race.
Yeah, and I do feel for the guys at the back, because they, unlike in sort of real life F1, they struggle. They can get a sense of the track conditions on the formation lap or on installation laps. These guys have got to sit there and watch 2 sessions of qualifying and then attack the racetrack in race trim, and it's quite a difficult challenge, I think, to sit out, and they can't even go and do some time trial times.
And that's probably the most painful part of it, is that you can't just hop on and do a little bit more practice as maybe you would imagine you could. And if you could, though, that would be significant, I do believe, especially if some of these guys are that far down the grid simply because of a lack of practice.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously practice makes perfect for the drivers. So I await to see whether we lose 3 or 4 cars out of this session, and how many will actually progress. Depends on the game logic, and that's a little bit difficult for me to memorize every single time. It looked like Phantom got some floor damage apparently in his second run, and I think there was another driver said he got exactly the same on his in-lap. It was Madtrav managed to get floor damage, but sometimes we'll see drivers hopping across shortcuts on the track, and that can lead to its own level of problems.
Yeah, and actually something like that is not allowed by league rules in qualifying, because obviously that can give a huge benefit to a driver in order to save tires for another lap, or even if they have finally set their fast lap in Q2 and they want to save those tires for the race and have as much life on them as possible. So that's why we have to regulate it in the league to where it's like, okay, you can't just go.
Yeah, completely agree. We may have a slight issue with the lobby, Tim. We seem to have frozen up, and Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon have appeared in the grid. We're not seeming to smoothly get through to Q2 right here. I'm just wondering if anybody has noticed, and we're hoping to try and do that. Welcome to anybody joining us on the stream. You have missed Q1, but the results are obviously on screen, and we'll take you through them very shortly. This is SAF1's round 4 of season 4. Looks like we may have a glitch out here, certainly being questioned, and I hope that doesn't result in the loss of our co-commentator as it appeared to last week. But Tim, you're still with us.
I hope not either. I am still here, though. I am still here, at least for the time being.
Yep, I'll wait for news from our Supreme Leader. Quintin does say the lobby is glitched. I'm not quite sure what the solution is here, whether it's to have the guys in 16th, 17th and 18th not take part in a short quali session, or we completely restart qualifying, in which case I'll start treading on the toes of my next race if we run too late. But Quintin just suggesting people, those that join late, exit and come back in again. I don't know. This is uncharted territory for me. I think Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon are perhaps going around the track. Hamrick is
Someone
still
needs to
circulating.
tell them that qualifying's over.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if we can get a fix for this. The last thing we want to do is restart everything. That's infuriating. Let's see.
you know, sometimes, such as the world of esports, is when we have these, you know, tiny little technical glitches that can really delay things. But it looks like maybe something's happening now.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been Rai causing an issue there. His retirement seemed to trigger the end of the session, so maybe he can come back in. Looks like we're all the way through here, so maybe take us through the results if you would, Tim.
And it is Matt Trav in first with Kimmy Matt in second, then Quentin in third, Simpson fourth, Phantom in fifth, my Alonso in sixth, seventh is Calvin Racing, Natsumi in eighth, ninth is Duxter, then Don Rabico in 10th, 11th is Zardy, Rye in 12th, Neil in 13th, 14th is Matty, Tiago Maestro in 15th, Hamrick in 16th, 17th is Vino, and Royal Viking in the 18th position.
Excellent stuff, and it does confirm that we lose 3 drivers from this Q1 session. Q2 will feature 15 drivers, and Zardy, Wright, Neil, Matty, Don Rabico, and I've forgotten the last one. They will be trying to improve their performance for the next session. No, it looks like it might have been Neil triggering an issue, so hopefully he'll be able to rejoin us, but if that triggers yet another glitch, then with all respect to Neil, hopefully he won't be able to rejoin us, but we're about to start that Q2 session. Looks like Ryan rejoining the qualifying session successfully. This is why our Supreme Leader likes to send out 3 invites, because these kind of things happen quite frequently. Drivers just arranging their setups. They can only really tweak the front wing in response to how the car was handling, and the track is a moving beast. It's improving through the whole qualifying hour overall, but also it's not always exactly what they come to the race expecting. Though we do have dry conditions, and our weather forecast is to be dry throughout our entire evening's racing tonight, Tim.
And I'm sure that the drivers can breathe a sigh of relief at that news, because going around a wet Monza just does not sound like a fun time at all. But here in Q2, this is where things get a little bit interesting, because it's the tire in this session that you set your fastest lap on that you are going to be starting the race on. So you're going to see a few drivers choose a couple different things, and you can see already we have 4 drivers deciding to go out on the medium tires. Natsumi, Neil, Quentin, as well as Rai. All of those drivers so far have the medium tires fitted and ready. Natsumi, the first car, actually, or one of the first cars, mind you, out on track. And he is the first car, I do believe, on the medium tire. And I'm very curious to see just how that compounded tire will perform here.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to take... If we saw some drivers perform their best time on the soft tyres on the second lap, I think it might be the third or fourth lap on those mediums that actually results in the fastest time. But we will have to wait and see. Keep an eye on how many laps of where the drivers try on here. We might be able to get away with 3 single lap runs here, as Mad Trav is the first one to tackle this track into Q2. Soft tyres for Mad Trav, taking no chances here. Not fancying running the mediums, although with a 19.9 he had the pace of the field in Q1, and if anyone was going to have the opportunity to chance a different strategy, it would have been Mad Trav. But safely through the first chicane and Curva Grande, and of course sets a purple time for himself. Maybe slightly slower than he would like through Della Roggia. Looked like there was some hesitance on the throttle, Tim.
Yeah, and Mad Trav, he really does seem to be taking it just a little bit cautiously here. But going down this DRS, he'll get a nice boost of speed. Very little downforce on that rear wing, obviously, with the DRS zone. And then you enter the Ascari chicane, you get all that downforce back. And Mad Trav using a lot of curb, but his car seems to be a lot more stable than most of the other drivers that we've seen around there. That is probably the most stable I've seen a car take Ascari so far.
I'd have to agree. My feeling here is this might be tactical from Mad Trav. This might be about getting a soft tyre banker lap in that might leave him in, I don't know, P7 or 8. Yeah, he's lifted. He's lifted as he closes out the lap. So he's gone for a 22.221, a relatively safe banker, as a 20.497 comes in from Imai Alonso. And a slower time from Zardi. I think that's tactics at play, and I think he'll come out for another run on mediums, Tim.
And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's not Schumi, the first driver to set a time on the mediums, goes to second in 1:21.487 for the Aston Martin driver.
Excellent stuff. Let's see how Quinten's doing. He came second in the first qualifying, and he's got a nice opportunity for a tow behind Dom Rabico as he goes towards the line on medium tyres as well, similar, and sets a 32.6, so I think just bringing those tyres in as Dom Rabico sets a 20.676 on soft tyres and goes second right now with right behind him a 21.2. I think there's some very interesting tactics at play here tonight in this Q2 session. This is very interesting to me.
That there is, and it looks like Quinten is going to go ahead and continue to push for this lap, and that could definitely benefit him as he did get a decent amount of slipstream down the front straightaway from Don Rabico. So if he can make the rest of the lap clean and fast, we should be looking at least a decent time from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, and talk of getting a tow, Simps is out there in the Haas, pushing on the medium tyres. He's currently on an outlap, but just gaining huge amounts of time behind Matty, who finally gives up, says, I don't want to be towing you around the track, thank you very much, I'll let you go on ahead and part the air for me. It's Phantom going on a provisional top time, 20.288, still 0.3 off the fastest time we saw in Q1, so I think there's still time to come from the drivers, and I'm waiting to see who will be the first one to start the next lap. I think it will be Duckster. Let's keep an eye on Quinten though. Where is Quinten on his time? He's about to finish the lap. It's a very quick lap round here, just 8 major corners, and it's a P5 for Quinten, 21.191 on 2-lap-old mediums. Let's join Duckster though and see how he goes. He's progressing as he goes through Curva Grande and towards the first timing beam for the end of Sector 1.
Meanwhile, Simps, he got a nice bit of slipstream off of Quinten after he finished his lap going down the front straightaway. So Simps, he is now starting his first flying lap on the medium compound tires. So we'll see how that Haas car is going to look once we get back to the front straightaway.
Yeah, and Dom Rabico's happy enough with his time there. He's put a single lap run of a 20.6 and fairly confident that that will leave him safe for Q3. I think I'd rather be out there keeping my rhythm. I don't know about you, Tim.
Oh my goodness! And Simps has crashed out of the session, out of the final Lesmo. He invalidated his lap out of the first one, and then out of the second one, got a little loose into the wall, and now that Haas car is just a piece of junk in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, it looks like almost in sympathy, Tiago went off as well, coming out of the Della Roggia chicane before the Lesmos. So we've had a double retirement in one sector of the racetrack, and neither of them were in Ascari. So very interesting to see Tiago and Simps, who are definitely going to be out of this session. That opens up a possibility for the likes of Neil, of Calvin, who may have been worried about getting through. They certainly only have to beat 3 more drivers in order to get through tonight.
And that sounds pretty easy, but there's still got to be at least 2 drivers that don't beat the other drivers. So we'll have to just wait and see which one of those it will be. But as you said, Neil, on his outlap. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look at Calvin. He's on a flying lap, and he is just now in the second sector, entering the first of the 2 Lesmo corners. So let's see if he makes the same mistake that Simps did, or if he's able to get away cleanly. So far looking good, maybe a tiny bit of a wiggle after touching the curb on that apex, but keeps it very stable, does Calvin, as he has got the DRS and approaching the Ascari chicane. And of course, we've been talking about it already all day. Let's watch what he does here and make sure that he gets away cleanly, and he does, being very careful to use very little curb.
Yeah, definitely leaving a margin out there for this lap. 7 minutes remain of Q2. It's a shorter session, and really you need to turn the car around very quickly indeed in order to get 3 bites at this particular cherry. Calvin for the line then, P12. Oh, it's not good enough to get him out of danger, but he's on medium tyres, and it's a choice for him now. Does he accept starting in P12 or below, or does he decide to put soft tyres on and risk it to get through to Q3? Big question. But Neil is going through the second sector. He's currently in danger of being eliminated. 6.5 minutes now to go as Phantom, Aimar Alonso, Duxter and Don Rabico your top 4, but it's all about not being in the bottom 4 of the bottom 5, I should say, of the order in this session. So try and focus on the drivers who are most at risk from that, give them a little bit of screen time, and we'll focus on the fastest drivers as we enter Q3. Neil then into Parabolica, leaning on the outside tyre, doesn't run the gully on the outside of the Parabolica, instead aiming to bring the car in to the pit wall, and it's P11 121.317. That's his best so far. I wonder if Calvin is. He's on another lap, and he's going 1 second faster than he's been before. I don't know if he's deciding to come in. No, he's going to complete this lap, commit to another run, and it's a 1.5 second improvement, but he doesn't improve his position. Still P13, slowest of the time set so far, as we lost Sims and Thiago.
Very surprising to see Calvin struggling. I've seen him race in other leagues, and he is a podium contender, a very experienced driver, but for whatever reason today around Monza, it is just not his friend.
Yeah, could be a practice effect, could be one of those tracks that drivers love to hate and avoid putting in the hours required. I'm thinking of tracks like Russia, like Singapore. Drivers they don't turn up on leg racing calendars very often, maybe even Monaco as well, and drivers just don't tend to put the hours in to get good enough. Zardi's on a lap, currently P8 in the Alfa Romeo, wants a good result for the Italian team here in Monza. I think this counts as the home circuit for Alfa Romeo. And he goes much faster, and it makes it an all-red 1-2-3, Tim, with a 120.518.
Just imagine if Maestro had been able to get up there before, unfortunately, spinning earlier on in this session and crashing out, then it could be an all-red top 4, which I don't even think I've ever seen.
It would be good, for sure, to see that, and maybe it's possible. Obviously, Thiago won't make it into the next one. I see Calvin going very slowly on his in-lap right now, but Schumi is attacking the racetrack as Quintin goes a new top time, marginally faster than Phantom. Quintin spoiling the Ferrari engine party, and Phantom won't claim that top time this session, but Quintin making sure he is focused and in the right rhythm to tackle Q3. 3.5 minutes to go of this session, and currently on the bubble are Neil, Schumi and Calvin, and certain to be eliminated Simps and Thiago.
Taking a look at Duxter now in the Mercedes. He is deciding to go out on the medium tires to see what he can do, but he's on his outlap at the moment, so it'll be a while before he can start his time, but still plenty of time to get back around this racetrack. Meanwhile, we do have Ryan the Haas. He is on a lap just a little bit ahead on track of the Mercedes driver, and now going down the very long straightaway is Ryan, that Haas car. Now, he made mistakes in Q1 through Ascari. I think he's learned from him, though. Let's see what he's able to do. Very cautious through there. Oh, but an invalidation is going to see that he does not improve his time, at least not on this lap.
Not Schumi does improve. P9 for him, and pushes right into that unsafe position. Matty in between them in 10th at 121.067. So Rye's got to find a quarter of a second before he can be safe, as long as Matty does not start a new lap. I wonder if Rye will keep this run valid and go again for another run. You've got that opportunity because it's quite a short track with very few corners to chew up those tyres into the Rettifilio chicane. Again, leaving a bit of a margin on the outside traction zone. Perhaps wanted to be closer to that exit curb for optimal speed, but now heading towards Della Roggia, and it's he's got that required quarter of a second improvement already, so he just needs to be as good as he's been before through these next two sectors, Tim, and he'll be able to get clear.
And Duxter, he has spun out of that very chicane that Rye just went through, so Duxter not going to be improving his time. A 120.598 is going to be the time that he has to settle for, unless he can get back around and try for one more lap. He should have enough time, but does he have enough on his tires that he really wants to continue to use. He's got the benefit of the medium tires, which can obviously last longer than the softs.
Just watch Rai make the same error again, invalidate on the outside of the final part of Ascari, and he kept the car pointing in the right direction. There was no loss of traction, but he just ran too wide, and he's got no choice now but to run through again. One of the big frustrations of the drivers is that you've got the situation with you have to be pushed back into the garage. You can't do a hot pit stop in qualifying conditions, and so your turnaround time is significantly lengthened. Rai is taking an interesting line through the first corner section, clears out 2 of the polystyrene chicane markers, which I don't think the other drivers will thank him for if that leaves debris on the field. Matty is attacking his final attempt here, 30 seconds to go, so this is absolutely everybody's final attempt through the through to try and get themselves safe. What's Matty got in sector 1? It's an improvement, and that will help him defend from elimination. He's currently 10th.
Yeah, and Matty, he is right there on that bubble, as you said, a 1.067. I got faith in him, though. I think that he can improve that time and get himself into that safe zone, as now the qualifying session has officially ended, so whoever's on a lap can finish their lap, but then that will be it for Q2. Looks like Calvin, he is on a lap, but will he be able to improve and get out of the 13th position? It's a 121.602 for him at the moment as he goes through Parabolica. So as his final lap is coming to an end, we'll see if Calvin can continue on to Q3. And as he crosses the line, he will not improve by enough. Calvin Racing going to be eliminated.
Yeah, and Neil just behind him does improve, but only as far as P11. Matty was on a hot lap, but invalidated that one. And that was a close run thing. He almost got eliminated. And talk about close run things, Tim. Madtrav, if that was tactical to start on the medium tyres, that's very interesting, because he managed to qualify 9th in Q2. Got through that quite safely, making a calculation. He put soft tyres on at the end, and that's what the car is wearing right now. But whether that means that's his fastest time, we'll find out when the results screen comes up. But it does look like it's Neil, Rai, Calvin, and then, of course, Simps and Tiago that will be out of this session.
And I can confirm that Madtrav, he has ran his fastest lap on the medium tires.
Fantastic. So here is how we finish things in Q2. Quintin, Phantom, Imai Alonso, Natsumi Zardi, Duxter, Don Rabico, Kimi, Madtrav and Matty will go through to Q3. The fastest time, some 3/10 off the fastest time in Q1, possibly to explain some tactical choices, not to completely destroy those tyres, because those will be the race tyres. Madtrav will have a massive advantage, especially if he can qualify well in Q3. And we lost Neil, Rai, Calvin, Simps and Tiago from the session. But this is where it's all about maximum attack, the car in its very best trim, and time to full send, I think, is the way to go at this one, Tim.
Full send. I think that you just made all those drivers very happy. All drivers love the words full send.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We'll see. It's usually drivers' very favourite kind of session is when the track is in the real sweet spot. Although I'm looking at the pit lane, and it doesn't look like it's going to be quite as warm. The sharp shadows have gone. The track looks overcast, and that could affect the drivers running. It'll be a little bit of a surprise for the drivers as they head into this session, Tim.
It could be, but I think that it could actually be beneficial and might even give a little bit of grip to these cars. So let's see which drivers like it, which drivers don't. And wow, just a huge gaggle of cars coming out of the garage. Definitely not wasting any time. Yeah. Of course, under 12 minutes remaining already in Q3, as this is going to be the short session just for these top 10 cars. So obviously, these drivers need to get out there fairly quickly to make sure that they at least get a lap in. Yeah,
it looks like it's the big boys. It's Phantom, it's Madtrav out there. Who usually contest for pole. Madtrav, if he can start in or around the front row on medium tyres, then good luck everybody else. You can't hate the driver who dominates. You can only encourage the slower drivers to catch up. But so far this season, it's been the Madtrav show. So we'll see if he can be deposed from pole. Looks like Phantom's got some good speed in him tonight. I like some of the laps that Quintin was putting together. But new conditions, fresh tyres, and this is where the drivers really enjoy pushing the car to its limits. Of course, they may go slightly gently into this first run. Let's just we'll ride with Phantom and see how he attacks, how he judges the risk versus reward parameter as he takes on this first lap.
And I thought for a minute that Madtrav was going to try to stay close to Phantom and try to get the slipstream off of him, but Madtrav gave a little bit more room to Phantom than what I imagined that he would. However, still fairly decently close, just not enough to really impede his lap, which obviously was going through his mind. But this McLaren might impede his lap a little bit as the McLaren of Don Rabico goes through the first and second corners, but then quickly moves out of the way of Madtrav to try to make sure that he can set his lap without any major hiccups. So Madtrav just going to try to go and get the pole position. As you said, if he is able to start on pole with the medium tires, and that is going to be a deadly combination for this race. But definitely a, how you say, welcome combination for Madtrav.
Yeah, definitely. He'll love it. He'll love it. Phantom is not getting through this lap particularly quickly, at least to my eye. He's not getting the turn-in that he would be expecting, and I think that might be a change in conditions, whether it's more or less grip. It's not quite what he had underneath him in the first two qualifying sessions. Possible missing a gear on the way out of Ascari as well isn't going to help matters. I think Madtrav is probably on a faster lap behind him and gaining massively with the toes, so obviously not cost a huge amount from Dom Rabico. Looks like Madtrav very much following the wheel tracks of Phantom, so Phantom's first lap will be a 1:22.179, comprehensively beaten by Madtrav, who gets within 1/10 of his fastest time so far tonight. Matty splits the difference, a 20.953, and that's very welcome to see. But Duckster making a Mercedes 1-2 at this early stage, quickly split by Quintin on a 20.153. I think that's up there with some of his fastest times so far tonight. We've got Aimai Alonso P3 for the Alfa Romeo. I think not Schumi, just slightly. I think he's going for 2 runs tonight and getting in between everybody's strategy, which could be a smart move, because I think we're going to get quite a traffic situation as this session finishes up.
And one thing I want to mention about Madtrav's lap is through Parabolica, he took a very interesting line. It's a line that you would normally see on an oval track, a short track over here in America. He pretty much diamond the corner, entering very low, going high right there at the apex, getting that little bit of grip on that outside right there in that green stuff, and then quickly arcing it down low to try to get the best runoff in the shortest line possible. So really just, impressive and precise driving from Madtrav.
Nice. As you say, impressive and precise. It wasn't quite those words wouldn't describe Schumacher's trip through Ascari, as he lost it on the first section, held it together, and then invalidated on the exit. Don Rabico has kept this one valid, at least into and on his way out of Parabolica. Don Rabico then, another one of the big boys, another driver who gets the results, gets a P5 of 20.426. Madtrav's gone even faster on the second lap on those soft tyres. I missed it, but a 19.854 is the fastest he's been so far tonight. And he basically says, okay, what has everybody else got? Because that's what I've got. We've got a 5-place grid penalty given out to Duckster for having a collision with Quintin, who was pitting at the time. I wonder if that was just a slower pit entry than he was expecting, and Duckster has hit the back and suffered a 5-place grid penalty, Tim.
Yeah, and unfortunately that is not something that we can overturn, or really anyone in the league can overturn, even though realistically it probably was not that severe of a collision, and I'd say Quintin probably isn't even mad. But unfortunately that is what Duckster's going to have to deal with, but it's better to get a 5-place grid penalty and start in 10th or 11th or 12th than it is to start in, say, 16th.
Yeah, now I don't know how the game mechanics work particularly. I think if he were to qualify, let's say, 6th tonight, and get a 5-place penalty, putting him 11th. Does that give him free choice of tyres, or does he have to stick with the tyres that he qualified on and succeeded to get through to Q3? I'm not quite sure how the game works relative to real-life rulings.
I would imagine that is going to give him a free choice of tire, which could definitely benefit him, especially if he's starting right there in 11th, because at the moment it looks like Duckster is, without that penalty, would be starting about 7th or 8th anyway. So a couple of positions behind, giving you a free tire choice, who knows? It could be a little mistake that actually turns out to be a blessing for him.
It could indeed be. Kimi has gone second on a 20.0, but no one yet, apart from Madtrav, has been sub 1 minute 20. Everybody in the pits, everybody getting ready. I think just Zardi out there on a different strategy. 5 minutes to go, and the drivers will now be playing games with each other to see who dares leave the pits the latest. Of course, advantage Madtrav because he's got the banker pole position in at the moment. And Zardi gets Ascari all kinds of wrong. Wipes the car out. Will he have time to get back into the pits? I think he will, as Ascari is towards the end of the lap. I think he'll just about manage to get back in and back out again and round to the checkered flag before he can start another attempt. But currently he won't be starting above 10th because he hasn't set a time, as Not Shumi is in the same boat with that invalidation we saw earlier.
So it's already, unfortunately for him, that he is going to have to go into the pits, and I mean, he can put a fresh set of softs on and he can go again, but that's got to be very alarming for him because it's yet another mistake that we have seen near the Ascari chicane.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to go racing, that is for sure. Dom Rabico pits, and it looks like is that Aimar Alonso, who is on the back straight, heading into Parabolica, needing to nail this corner really well to get the best possible exit. Every few miles an hour you manage to squeeze out of the car on the way down this start-finish straight, it gives you an advantage into the first sector.
Yeah, and it really does, and that sometimes people don't realize just how important a slipstream can be, but I can tell you that it is massive, both in real life and in the esports world. So every driver ever is always going to be looking for the back of another car to try to get slipstream, try to get a little bit more speed.
Yeah, but counter to that is the risk of encountering traffic, encountering somebody invalidating in front of you, or worse still, wiping the car out, because that'll ruin your lap any day on the calendar. Jaime Alonso absolutely monstering second Lesmo and holding the car together. He's on his way towards the next timing beam, and we'll see. He's nearly 0.2 of a second faster than he's been before. Some really good performance from Jaime so far. Can he survive the bear trap of Ascari? Yes, he does, and looks to be trying to move up the grid. He may be on course to try and slot in between Kimi and Quintin here. Dropping the gears down to 5th into Parabolica, quickly short shifts up to 6th for best traction on the way out. Short run to the line, and it's a massive improvement. He's up to P2 and into the 1 minute 19s for Jaime Alonso. Fantastic final sector.
Good lap from Jaime Alonso in the Alfa Romeo, as I'll take a look now at Not Shumi in the Aston Martin. He has not set a lap yet, but he needs to hurry up and go ahead and set that. He is on a flying lap now. So Not Shumi might just be on for a fast lap. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Zardi, he is on his out lap, going to try at least one more time to get a lap time set.
Yeah, while we were looking at that car, Duckster's gone P5 at 20.158, just 500ths slower than Quintin, who is trying to get round and start his next flying lap. He's not done well on the first one, or at least he's running a charge lap and now trying to monster his way down. He's got Matty right behind him on an out lap and hoping to benefit from the tow. I think it will be more of a disadvantage. They're so close to one another. Quintin gets out of the way and hands the advantage over to Matty here. Quintin just taking a chance that he'll get around. I don't think he will get around in time to start another lap. I think Quintin giving Matty a lift up the grid and actually possibly just giving up his chance of a final run. in favour of his teammate.
So currently watching Zardy now as he has exited the final Lesmo. Maybe a tiny wiggle there surprised me for just a brief moment, but Zardy is going to be okay as he heads toward Ascari, and this will be likely his only lap that he can set. Oh, and it's an invalidation entering the Ascari chicane. Can he make it to the start-finish line before this timer is over? We'll have to wait and see. He should have enough time, but keyword there is definitely a should. It's just over 30 seconds remaining. In fact, 30 seconds now, and he should be okay as long as he doesn't spin. But Zardy's going to have to make this last lap definitely count. Oh, and he does, and he dives down at the pits. But why, though?
It's whether they've flat spotted their tyres or what they've done. Madtrav went even faster at 19.790. Kimi was on a good lap, but it's all gone wrong, and he's invalidated now. Quintin, I don't think is going to challenge for pole, so if the pole challenge is going to come from anywhere, I fancy it's going to come from Phantom, who's only managed to get a 300th improvement into Sector 1. Has he opened that out at all? No, he's really lost out in Sector 2, so he won't be able to challenge for pole. I wonder what Natsumi's got. He's 4/10 faster than he's been before. That would see him potentially into the 1:19s, and rare form. No, he's over his time, obviously making a mistake through Sector 1. Unfortunately for Natsumi, it looks like we have got our grid organised and ready, looks like Madtrav has gone even faster still on a 19.673. Just continues to taunt the rest of the drivers. Fantastic.
He's just not going to give up. Going to try to make sure that he gets that pole position, even from himself.
yeah, I think he's got the first 3 or 4 positions on the grid tonight, Tim. If he could hold all of those positions, I think he would like that extra advantage.
For any NASCAR fans out there, this will sound very familiar to you, but when Kyle Busch was racing in the Xfinity Series and would win all the time, everyone always said that it was the Kyle Busch Series, and it was Kyle Busch winning the Kyle Busch 200. Is it the Matt Trav Series, and is it Matt Trav winning the Matt Trav Grand Prix? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and Quintin saying in the driver chat, please behave, Matt Trav, those times are just not necessary. So that's a good line. I'll be right back with you. I'll leave you in capable hands of Tim. Just be 1 minute.
And just waiting for the clock to run out. You see the timer up there, 1 minute 12, 11, and 10. But so far it looks like your top 10 is going to be what you see. And that is Matt Trav, I'm Alonso, Kimi Matevs, then Quentin in 4th, Dukester in 5th, 6th is Phantom, Natsumi in 7th, Don Rabico in 8th, 9th is Maddie and Zardy in 10th. But remember, Dukester, he does have that 5-place grid penalty, which should be putting him down to the 10th position, which means everyone behind him moves up just a little bit. And here's going to be your official starting lineup with Matt Trav in 1st, I'm Alonso in 2nd, Kimi Matevs in 3rd, 4th is Quentin, and then 5th is going to be Phantom Natsumi in 6th, 7th is going to be Don Rabico, 8th is going to be Maddie, 9th is going to be Zardy, because Dukester with that 5-place grid penalty is going to be dropping to the 10th position. So it looks like Madtrav, he might just be in command of this race. He's going to be starting on the pole on the medium compound tires, and that is going to be a recipe for disaster for every single driver except Madtrav, who is going to be licking his lips and just waiting for that checkered flag.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping that Madtrav wouldn't get pole here and would have to come through the field, but we might have to wait till he's secured the championship before he starts playing like that. But yeah, that one was a little bit devastating, that session, for the rest of the field.
On the other hand, though, it is nice to be upset with 2nd or 3rd or a points finish such as that, even though it's only qualifying.
Yeah, nice problem to have for sure. But yeah, the only thing I think that's likely to stop Madtrav tonight is a lack of focus and challenge as he runs through Ascari time after time, and the tyres start to degrade on him. But we will have to wait and see. Of course, nothing is guaranteed in motorsport. You can lead all but the final lap, and it can be taken away from you.
That's exactly right. It doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you finish. And one of the more famous movie quotes that you might hear, winning is winning. It doesn't matter if it's by an inch or by a mile, and that holds true more than ever when you take into consideration the absolute fierce competitiveness of these 18 drivers.
Take a look at this kind of Connect 4 style tire selection. We've got some yellows, some reds, and then one yellow at the top. It says Madtrav on the medium tires, and everybody at the back starting on mediums, with the exception of Hamrick, who's going for an aggressive lead car strategy and will need to be making up places right from the lights out. We've got then 18 runners for you in this session. The drivers have got a very short lap to get the tyres working and up to temperature. So Duckster is collecting points for the Alpine team because the game, after joining the session late, the game gave him the wrong seat tonight, unfortunately. But that's one of the things you get for turning up late, I guess.
Can you explain that to me one more time?
Yeah, so Duckster joined after qualifying began and was not able to select his car, and it was randomly assigned him into the Mercedes. He should be racing for Alpine.
Yeah, so obviously Duckster is going to be scoring points for Alpine tonight, even though he's driving a Mercedes, so a little bit of confusion there, but yeah. I have faith in us. I think that we're going to be able to hang on to it.
I think we can probably just about remember that one. It's when there's multiple cars having made the same kind of error that mistakes seem to creep in. Kimi qualifying better this week than I think he did last week, and he's usually got some very good pace in the race. But who can challenge Madtrav? Will it only be Ascari that challenges Madtrav tonight? Will it be tyre degradation? Dom Rabico's been disqualified from the session, as has Matty, and they'll be a little bit colder on their tyres. But just to say, this is SAF1 Esports Season 4, Round 4 in Monza, brought to you by DR Developments, Quintessential Photo and Video Works, and Rabico Holdings, and we thank them for their support of the league. My name is Webbo. We've got Tim in the co-commentary seat tonight, and Tim, it'd be great if you could watch from towards the back of the grid and give us an idea about what's going on back there while I try and provide the stream with a battle for the lead at the start.
Well, at the moment, everyone just trying to find their appropriate positions on the grid. Got a few guys back there who did not have the best of qualifying, is going to be looking to make up for it in the race, but you can't make it all up in turn number 1. They're going to have to be very, very careful. Yeah,
I affirm that. It's very clear that the race is only lost in the first corner. But it doesn't stop people being tempted. We've got Madtrav on pole. We've got Aimar Alonso on second place with Kimi behind the pole sitter. It's lights on and it's lights out, and go away from the start. Nice start there, it looks like, from Quentin immediately up, and it looks to be challenging on the inside from the lead for the race. He's got the inside line as they tackle turn 1 and brakes very late, taking something of a Verstappen Red Bull lane into turn 1. He's going to have to give that place up. He's got a 3-second penalty just for an initial corner cut, and that's boxed the rest of the field all up together, with Aimar Alonso in 3rd, Kimi slipping down to 4th, and not Schumi in 5th. Then a big gap to the back of the field.
Meanwhile, Hamrick, he made up about 2 or 3 positions going into turn number 1, but now I think Hamrick, he's got some wing damage. He got into the back, I think, of Rye going into that chicane, and now we have got all kinds of carnage. But still, somehow, Hamrick is moving up into the 8th position, but the 2 Haas cars already on the first lap not having the best of days. Rye has already got hit into the back, and it was Sims who was actually in the middle of a 3-wide situation just out of the second corner. And now look at this train of cars going down the straightaway. It's the 2 Haas cars trying to fight with Hamrick in the Williams. Williams. It has got 3, 4-car battle here, 5-car battle, a Mercedes, and Alfa Romeo, 2 Haas's, and a Williams going through Ascari, and somehow every single one of them make it through Ascari very cleanly, and some of them even side by side. Look at Zardi in the Alfa Romeo. He is just not taking no for an answer, and he is going 3 wide, going around the Williams of Hamrick, and Zardi making a move up into 9th place. Has to back out a little bit into Parabolica behind the Haas car, and maybe it's going to calm down for him, maybe not though, because just behind them, the Mercedes of Duckster and Neal are trying to throw their hat into this little battle too.
It's all over the shop. We don't know where to look. We've got Aimar Alonso challenging up there for 2nd position and in the top 5 cars, starting to stretch the field. Things seem to go very strange through Lesmo for Zardi. He backed out of the throttle, let several cars by, picked up a penalty for corner cutting. This time, Aimar Alonso going up the inside of Quentin. They tangle wheels, the cars lock together, very touring car similar. And out around the outside goes Schumi. Can he hold on to this one, or is Aimar Alonso going to stick with it? He just about keeps the position, but Schumi was going for a move all the way around the outside of Lesmo 1. Quentin is struggling to hold off the attentions of Kimi. And Matty, our first retirement, looks like down there in 16th and about to leave the session from us.
And the Mercedes of Duckster trying to, just pick up the pieces of what he lost in the qualifying session. Still in 10th, though, just behind Royal Viking. Royal Viking fighting hard with the Haas of SAF1 Simps. A communication error, though, with Royal Viking's car is going to maybe cause problems for him later on in the race. But Simps and Duckster really battling it out. Duckster making up quite a few positions out of Ascari, going into the 7th position now, with Simps there in 8th, just trying to follow the Mercedes down the front straightaway. Going to use that slipstream. DRS not active for them yet, but it is lap 3. So the next DRS zone, if Simps can stay close to Duckster, he will have an opportunity to get around that Mercedes.
Yeah, agreed. It all went all kinds of wrong for Aimar Alonso into the Ascari corner, and he lost all those positions. I think he lost about 12 positions and is now down in P15. Looks like the car is in one piece. Looks like Hamrick has pitted and gone back onto a new set of softs this time. But up near the front, Kimi and Quentin are the closest drivers right at the front, but it looks like Royal Viking making it a double AlphaTauri attempt, as he and the ghost of Simps, I think, no, is it Royal Viking who's racing Ghosted? I can't quite tell at this point. I think, yeah, his car is dropping in and out of connection, so it's probably best not to be watching him right now for fear that there's going to be a situation with that car. But Kimi within DRS of Quentin. Don Rabico 3 seconds behind this group. It looks like Duckster's trying to challenge right now, heading towards Parabolica.
And DRS now, he was just able to get around Simps for the 8th position, using slipstream and a little bit of raw pace as they go into Parabolica, so move the McLaren up into the 8th position, not Schumi, a 122.368, the fastest lap of the race so far, just ahead of Neal, and we have Duckster actually battling out with the other Haas car of Rye. So Duckster now moving into the 6th position. Rye can do nothing but watch as the Mercedes slowly drives away, but will Rye be able to mount a charge and get back around that Mercedes? Not this time, as Duckster is just way too fast.
It was an easy pass using DRS, but it's not easy getting within DRS range and staying there. So the drivers deserve they have to work for that DRS tool. It looks like Rye has forgotten to put a helmet on tonight and is just racing with the balaclava across his face. We often see that in Haas cars. They don't seem to want to put the helmets on. I think that's the same problem for Neal down there in the McLaren. He's also racing without a helmet, or it's a very realistically painted one, at least. P8 for Neal. Half a second back from the battle for P2 is Quentin, although he has picked up a penalty already, a 3-second track limit abuse penalty, and they will get DRS as they head towards the start-finish straight. But already checking out on medium tyres, no less, is Madtrav at the front by 1.8 seconds. We've lost Hamrick. I don't know if you saw any of that, Tim, but Hamrick out of the session.
And unfortunate for Hamrick, he had made up a lot of positions early on, and now we are under a safety car condition because of Hamrick, and that allows some of these drivers, like Neil and Duckster and Don Rabico, amongst many others, to finally pit. And it's a little bit early, but if you got a free pit stop, well, essentially a free pit stop, you might as well at least try.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like a hard tyre choice for Duckster and Simps early on here, as well as Don Rabico and Vino. Split decision between the drivers. Do they go for that to be pitted to the end, but slightly slower over a race distance? Or do they rely on there being a further stoppage, which it would be a fairly safe assumption to make in this session? It was Hamrick's DNF that caused our first safety car on lap 5 that sees Madtrav still in the lead from pole. Then Notsumi moving up. Just check on that one. Notsumi up 4 places. Quentin with a fantastic start, but perhaps slightly too good, as he ended up outbraking himself into turn 1 slightly and losing some places. Kimi is in 4th, down 1 position from his start, but Rai has gained positions up to P5, gained 7 places, Thiago gaining 9, and Royal Viking gaining 10. We've lost Hamrick and Matty from the race so far, and Aimé Alonso, who had a spin in on lap 2, I think it was. Several drivers taking a pass at a pit stop here at the front. I thought they would all dive in, Tim, but they've gone on by. Lap 5 on the soft tyres, lap 5 on the mediums for Madtrav and Rai, and they've all gone past the pit lane.
Yeah, and I can only assume that maybe they just have a plan in their mind that they want to stick with no matter what as far as tire windows go. But this safety car, you know, we're going to be under the safety car for at least 2 more laps or so, give or take. So this is going to be a nice chance to give these soft tires to breathe a little bit. Sure, they're going to still wear out under the safety car, but obviously not near as much as they would under race conditions. So, you know, if push comes to shove, this could allow some of these soft tire runners to stretch these tires an extra lap or so.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we will probably be waiting for the field spread to reduce down to within at least 1 or 2 mini sectors or 1 sector overall before we get the green light. So it's a good opportunity to take stock. We've got 2 penalties on the track so far. Just Quintin on 3 seconds and Royal Viking on 5. But I don't think that will be the end of it as we progress through the rest of this race. We're about 1/5 distance, just over lap 6 of 27. And the track has already claimed its first 2 victims. We're down to 16 runners in our race. Interesting quirk of the rules, and what I really appreciate in SAF1 is that all drivers are given 2 bonus points for finishing the race, which I think is pretty cool. And they also get, I think, 2 points for pole, which is perhaps less cool for Madtrav. But points for qualifying when you spend all that time through Q1, 2 and 3 is a nice reward, even if the race doesn't work out. But I really like the fact that we give points to encourage people to finish the race, even if things are going wrong. A little bit of faking out going on the pit entry. I see Quentin shaping to the inside and then ducking back out of it, and I think Kimi was doing the same thing. But yeah, they're happy to stay on these tyres right now.
And, you know, really, who can blame them? They both do have a decent amount of track position running in 3rd and 4th, respectively. Of course, Quentin, with that time penalty, that's going to definitely come back to bite him at the end of this race, no matter what, unfortunately for him. But, you know, such is the way that these races go sometimes. So Quentin especially is going to have it in his mind that he needs to make up as much as possible and even some more after that to try to overcome that 3 seconds worth of time penalties. And that's assuming that it's 3 seconds at the end of this race. You know how Monza can go. We've already seen how it can go early on in this race, so it could very well be a higher number by the time the checker flag waves. But I want to say, though, after this round of pit stops under the safety car, I like what I'm seeing from these hard tire runners of Duckster, Simps, Don Rabico, Vino. I think that those guys up there, you know, hovering in or around the top 10 really stand a good chance of doing well today. Yeah,
I think that the biggest challenge, though, for them is going to be defending from the softer tyre runners on that first restart lap. The hard tyres famously difficult to warm up and get into an operating temperature that works. So let's reevaluate that after the first restart lap, which will hopefully be the next time across. And there we go, the notification from race control that the safety car will be instructed to come in at the end of this lap. So Matrav becomes the safety car until he elects to get back to racing speed. And what I'm hoping for most of all here is a nice, smooth, single decision to press the accelerator from Matrav and not any faking out, because that's where we get lots of accidents and 5-second time penalties.
Matrav, he will be the control car though, so whenever he wants to go, as long as it's before the start finish line, he is allowed to do so. Let's see what he does, and if he's able to catch one of the guys behind him sleeping, or if he's just going to go and Shumi's going to stay with them going through Parabolica, and it looks like Matrav is going to get a better exit out of that corner, so Shumi is going to have to watch the Mercedes disappear. Definitely,
as Quentin catches a slipstream, but I think we might have better opportunities further down the race order. I don't think he's going to be able to make this one work, but Simps could not be closer to the back of the AlphaTauri as they head towards turn 1. Elects not to try a move as Vikings, I think Vikings still racing as a ghost right now, overtaking Duckster. I wonder what the AI is turned to here, if it's able to be competitive on this outlap. But Duckster, having lost one place already to a medium car runner, is trying to get that back on the way into the Della Roggia chicane, and it's not working out. Those tyres are not fit to race on just yet, so it's not working out for the hard runners.
Oh, we got a Haas car around. That is Rye. Rye is dropping back far, so unfortunately for him, not a good day.
No, turn the car around. It looks like he's got back running, so we will avoid a follow-up safety car, thankfully. But yeah, Rye back down to 14th. Aimar Alonso right down at the foot of the field must have experienced some sort of difficulty through that restart lap that we didn't catch. It looks like Kimi is the closest driver threatening one of the top 4 runners. He's right up behind Quentin. They're on old soft tyres, but racing on equal terms right now as Kimi gets very close and they head down the start-finish straight. He won't get DRS just yet. He'll have to do this all on slipstream if he manages it, but he's going to put the pressure on. Moving around in the mirrors, trying to put Quentin off his braking points, and he's losing out in the wheel tracks of the car in front, just keeping an eye on his mirrors.
Speaking of DRS and slipstream, DRS now was able to go around Bino for real before they got to Parabolica thanks to the slipstream and raw pace. Bino for real, he tried to fight back going into turn number 1, had to actually lock the brakes up just a little bit in order to avoid hitting the McLaren, just simply could not make that move, but good evasive driving from Bino for real to avoid a collision and ruining his race. Running in 11th right now is the Alpine driver on the hard tire, so as you said, it is difficult for him to defend right now, but later on, those hard tires, they are going to come in, they're going to get up to temperature, and he might just be a little bit faster, and he might be a little bit happier.
It looks like those hard tires are definitely competitive to at least Tiago's medium tires. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that ghost car of Royal Viking. He seems to be very competitive, but certainly registering as having virtually dead internet signals, so I think he might be racing properly in the car, but the game is ghosting him because of his poor signal, as now DRS is enabled and the drivers on the next opportunity will have the chance to use it. Duckster 1/10, less than a tenth behind the Ferrari, but cannot find a way by into turn 1. In fact, he's getting pushed from Simps behind, and this is a recipe for disaster. These 5 or 6 cars all in a line with each other in the midfield.
And we got a side-by-side battle a little bit further back between Bino for real and Calvin Racing. Now it's turned into a nose-to-tail battle, as Calvin Racing just could not quite make the move around the Alpine driver, and now has to settle back in a line and following through this chicane. Bino for real getting a little bit closer to Phantom, though, in that Ferrari, but just as I say that, Bino for real and Calvin both had a small little moment off of the exit of the last corner, and now as they go through the Lesmos, once again, you see Bino for real just having a little bit of a slower set of corners than what Calvin Racing is, but unfortunately for Calvin Racing, he just could not get by that Alpine, and now he is stuck in a DRS train down the straightaway, so they go to Ascari, but Calvin can't even think about making a move, just not close enough.
Absolutely, we've got 6 or 7 cars all in a line here. coming down the back straight. Everybody using the DRS before Ascari. Everyone wishing they had it on the back straight, but apparently they can't use DRS on the back straight because not every driver presses the brake pedal to enter Parabolica, and it would not close automatically. So the first driver with DRS is the Ferrari, but uncharacteristically it's actually the second driver with DRS who's getting the overlap done as he races down the inside, braking slightly earlier. The Ferrari closes off the Mercedes driver of Duxter, and that didn't look like a huge amount of racing room given from Thiago. He had the racing line, he was slightly ahead, but he can't expect the Mercedes to disappear, Tim.
No, you really can, and, you know, sometimes you just got to understand that if there's a guy next to you into the corner, you have to leave room. You know, it's not your corner, it's a contested corner. And wow, there was a big slide from Simps there out of the second chicane, but he was able to hang on to it. So Simps fighting hard with Royal Viking and now fighting hard with Don Ravico. And those Haas cars, I'm telling you, man, they may have had problems in qualifying. They might even have some hiccups in the race, but I think they're fast. They're just, like you said, the setups are a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, I wonder if they're sharing setups, or it's just not quite the conditions they were expecting from time trial practice, or what the problem is. But yeah, both Haas cars. It's absolutely a fantastic battle here in the midfield, as now Calvin has caught the rest of them. We've got Don Rabico and Simps rubbing wheels on the way into Parabolica, and that was pretty hairy for a moment, but Don Rabico dispatching with Simps fairly decisively. Not Schumi pits on 11-lap-old soft tyres, and triggering perhaps the front three to make those pit stops. But it's Don Rabico defending now on the outside. Here comes Simps. That looks very reminiscent of earlier this year to see those drivers coming around but they just about get through, and Don Rabico has the advantage traction area on the exit of the Rettifilo chicane and can survive Curva Grande once again. It's now Phantom trying to launch one down on one of the Haas cars, and the Haas cars are where all the action is at tonight, Tim.
And what an action-packed race at Monza it has been already. Lap 12 of 27, approaching that halfway mark. But these drivers, they have raced every single lap like it's the last lap. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. It has been very entertaining to watch so far, and we still got quite a few laps remaining. And so far, Simps trying to get that slipstream off of Don Rabico, but this line of cars is stuck in a DRS train, as we imagined would happen around Monza. So it's just going to be who is able to use their overtake and who's going to be able to get the right exit out of the right corner at the right time to get these overtakes done. And the Ferrari of Phantom going to try to go underneath Simps, maybe some contact between the two. Phantom had to back out massively going into Parabolica to avoid any further contact with the Haas car, so Simps is going to hang on to the 8th position for now, but Phantom with a slightly better exit out of Parabolica might actually have a chance to get around Simps even with the DRS strain, but it's going to be close going into turn number 1. Simps has DRS off of the back of Don Rabico, and it's not going to be any overtakes from anyone going into turn number 1, at least not in this line of cars.
Yeah, I affirm that. It looks like Not Schumi came out into some brilliant fresh air after his pit stop, and I think he has successfully defended against Kimi with the undercut. I wonder whether Quentin will regret not pitting with Kimi that time, and he could be vulnerable here to a double fresh tyre lap from Not Schumi. We'll have to keep an eye on that gap and see where he comes out. It depends what his tyres are doing and how many laps he wants to run the medium at the end. He's going for a one-stop. We've got a lot of one-stops happening on the track, but I wonder what the medium runners from the start will choose. It's Madtrav, Thiago, and Rai, who are still on their starting tyres on the mediums.
So Calvin Racing still racing very hard with Phantom. He was now in the 8th position thanks to some pit stops ahead of them. Entering Parabolica, though. Oh, and Calvin almost gets into the back of the Ferrari. Has to take evasive action. Goes very wide off the track and lost a lot of track position. But that was very close. That almost ended Calvin's race and maybe even Phantom's as well. So Calvin heads up driving from the guy there in the Williams. Good job to him as Phantom had a look on Simps going into turn number 1, but realized that there was no way he was going to be able to carry the speed to even get underneath the Hoskar, so he had to fall back in line and enter the first chicane. But it's a shame for Calvin, though, as Duckster has now got around him, because Calvin, he seems so fast. It seemed like he had the pass made on Phantom. He just hadn't got there yet, and then he had to back out of it very quickly and dramatically.
Yeah, you're right. It is a shame, but he's done the right thing by bailing out of the move, avoiding contact, and living to fight another day. We're still we're around half distance. There's plenty of action left to run in this race, and as long as you're in that DRS train in the midfield, I think you're still within a good shout of a good result here tonight. Speaking of such, I think Dom Rabico is right behind Vikings Alpha Tauri, and he's able to drive almost exactly through it, thanks to the ghosting situation we've got on the back of Royal Vikings car. Dom Rabico struggling through Ascari a little bit and losing some ground to Simps. It's Thiago, the lead car in this DRS train currently. Rai picks up a penalty. I think he got some aero disruption on the way through Ascari, and Dom Rabico's car is almost becoming one with the Alpha Tauri, but Quintin pits, so let's see where he comes out relative to Notsumi and Kimi, as they were originally second, third and fourth positions before these pit stops. Madtrav stays out, of course, as does Thiago, and it looks like Dom Rabico is getting comfortably away from that difficult ghost car of the AlphaTauri.
And you know, that's not even Royal Vikings' final form.
Indeed. Absolutely. Quintin has managed to split Schumi and Kimi on his way out of the pits, so that's going to make for some interesting few laps now. But we'll stick with this midfield battle as there's so many cars within 1 second of each other, right the way from P3 all the way to P10. Got a yellow flag in Sector 2. Looks like it was temporary, thankfully. No big drama coming through there. No stationary cars. We don't want to see stationary cars because that leads to safety cars.
And we definitely don't need any more safety cars around here. We've already had one. However, I'd say that there's plenty of drivers that might be saying, hey, you know, actually I could benefit from a safety car. Why don't someone go ahead and bring it out? Yeah,
absolutely. I think we turned the safety car prevalence down to reduced after we suffered a 5 safety car run in the first race of the season. We quickly shied away from the normal settings on that one, but hopefully it's only the most catastrophic damage situations that result in a safety car now. But the race starting to neutralize a little bit. The midfield here are all on similar age tires, whether that's on medium or hard tires. They're having to be quite patient with the tyre wear, and we'll see. I think we're just letting Madtrav get away with this one. He's got a 9-second lead from the 10-lap old soft tyre running Neil, who pitted for soft tyres around the safety car period. Royal Vikings car has picked up a 3-second penalty for running afoul of the track limits in defending against Simps here, and they're super close to one another.
Yeah, and Royal Viking, you know, he may be ghosted and we may be making jokes about him, but quite frankly, he is still very fast, running in the top 5 until just now when Simps was able to get around him after a hiccup through the Ascari chicane. But Royal Viking still very fast out there on those medium tires. So lap 17 of 27 now, just 11 to go, coming to 10 to go right about now, or actually next lap, as Madtrav has already reached the first chicane I can see now. And that just tells you how dominant Madtrav is around here.
Yeah, it's going to be easy to lose track of where he is as he's stretching his lead. Doesn't fancy having a very entertaining race. Quite happy to just churn the laps in and succeed all the same. He just needs to try and keep his focus. I think that's the biggest threat to him, as we see a retirement from Zardi on the exit of, guess where?
Oh boy, the Ascari chicane.
That's it. We have a safety car announced, and this is about perfect timing for Madtrav, who can put on soft tyres on the most optimal position with 10 laps to go. Neil will be able to pit as well, and I would imagine that the hard runners, and maybe all the runners in the top 7, will elect to pit here. I don't know. What would you do at this point? Save track position or get some good tyres on?
I would definitely have to go and get good tires on. It's lap 17 to 27, so when we go back racing, we're going to have about 7 to 8 laps of green flag racing left to go. You need those soft tires. That is perfectly within the soft tires window, and you have less fuel in the car, which helps with tire wear. If you're going to stand even a snowball's chance of beating Mad Trap, then you need to have the best tires as absolutely possible.
Yeah, definitely agree. If he's gone onto soft tires, I think everybody will follow suit to try and challenge him for the win here. Of course, this will not help anybody who has already pitted. Anybody like Quintin, who's taken a pit stop and will be on the wrong tires to see this race out. Everybody pitting in a line with each other, except for Quintin, who on those medium tires will have a strong end to his stint. I think Duckster stayed out as well to gain track position. Phantom stayed out altogether, and he and Duckster have taken the lead of this race under the safety car condition.
Now that could pose some problems for Mad Trap, but with those fresh soft tires and how many laps we're going to have left, I don't think that it's going to be too difficult for Mad Trap to get around him. He's just going to have to pace himself and be very patient, because Duckster, being his teammate, he might cut him a little bit of slack, I'm sure. But then you have Phantom up there in first in the Ferrari at Monza. Phantom, who has been one of the fastest drivers in the session with the exception of Mad Trap. This could be his chance to at least have a decent result here today, so he's going to definitely be putting up a fight to Mad Trap, but with 12 laps on those medium tires, it's inevitable that they are going to give up the ghost close to the end. So I think that this is going to be a very easy win for Mad Trap, assuming that disaster does not happen on his part. So obviously we're going to have to wait and see, but I think that Mad Trap is setting pretty. It wasn't a free pit stop, but it might as well have been. He pitted from first, comes out into third, and DRS Nell was second place, who pitted behind him, and he is all the way back in the 7th position.
Yep, it hasn't worked out for him. It's shuffled the midfield somewhat. So we now have on lap 18, we have Phantom leading with Duckster behind him. Phantom on 12-lap-old mediums, Duckster on 12-lap-old hard tyres, and then Mad Trav and everybody just about on fairly fresh tyres. Mad Trav in third from the lead, followed by Quentin, Notsumi and Kimi, who've managed to regain the places they lost pitting, but on the wrong kind of tyre really to see this race out. Then all the fresh soft tyre runners, Neil, Simps, Dom Rabico, Tiago, Calvin, Imai Alonso, back in the hunt for a good result tonight after disaster on lap 2. Royal Viking in 13th, Vino in 14th, and Rai at the back. But we're going to have a good little sprint on our hands, probably a 7-lap sprint to finish this race out, which hopefully is within the range where drivers won't go too crazy at the end. If we get to within 5 or fewer laps and we get released from a safety car, I tend to find disaster is quick to follow.
So lap 19, I'd say that we are going to be going back green on lap 20, but of course we don't make that decision, the safety car does. So hopefully the safety car will decide to pull in, but obviously you see the Haas car of Rai on your map, who is just a little bit further back, so he does have to catch the safety car cue before we can even think about going back green flag racing. But again, looking very good for Mad Trav, but we still got quite a few drivers who can get a good finish today, and it's not like Mad Trav is guaranteed to win. It's just looking very good. It's kind of like Lewis Hamilton at the Russian Grand Prix good.
Yeah, it's a good place to be in. You'd rather be on those tyres, but again, it's just about balancing risk versus reward on the moves you make, and when you make them. I wonder what Duckster will do. Of course, Duckster visually in the same team, but not actually in the same team. Duckster in the wrong car tonight, should be racing for Alpine, so I don't think we'll be doing any favours for the similar liveried car just behind him. We'll wait to see what Phantom does. There's an argument to go as soon as possible in the Parabolica. There's another argument to be made for launching the car close to the start-finish line when there's the minimum opportunity to slipstream. We'll see what Phantom decides to do as the cars are just waiting, trying to avoid contact at this stage. Here he goes, I think. He's had a small launch. He hasn't fully gone, and I think if he were to brake, that would cause a problem. I think he has pressed the pedal now, and he and Duckster have got a little bit of weight here from Madtrav, who is conscious not to get too close. Looks like Rise left the session down there in 15th place. Madtrav gaining some under the traction zone at the exit of Parabolica. What does Duckster do here? Is he going to put up a defense? He's going to force Madtrav onto the dirty side of the inside of the track on the way in. He's got his nose ahead. He's able to get through the second corner safely. And Duckster holding up Madtrav once again as Phantom tries to get away from this group as much as he can. Madtrav's going to try going around the outside of Curva Grande. That gives him the inside line into the Della Roggia chicane, and successfully by under braking with the advanced grip he has relative to that hard tyre running Duckster. So one half of the job done after the restart for Madtrav, up to P2, and he'll be on the back of Phantom very soon.
And that battle was the best thing that could have happened for Phantom, albeit very short battle, but still helped him out at least a little bit. But back here in the mid-pack, we've got DRS Nell, who is just behind Kimi Medevs and Not Shumi. And Not Shumi and Kimi, they're having a decent battle into the Ascari chicane. Thought that Kimi was going to try to go around the outside of the Aston Martin, but thought better of it, and probably better for doing so. As you just saw that McLaren picked up, or the Haas, of Rise picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, as we're riding on board with the McLaren of Nails, who is battling with the Haas of Simps, and it's a side-by-side battle through the Parabolica corner, but Nail on the inside is ultimately going to win out on that tiny little battle. But then we got the Haas car of Simps battling back hard down the front straightaway, but Nail's in his own little battle still with Kimi, who he just will not let breathe any sigh of relief as they go into turn number 1. Nails has a little bit of a look on Kimi, but can't make the move. Kimi having a look on the Aston Martin of Not Shumi, but can't make that move either. And Nail, he's like, well, you know what, if you're going to go slow, then I'm going to go underneath you, and it's still going to be a side-by-side battle. But Nail, with nowhere to go, once again, loses out to Kimi.
Oh, yeah, absolutely battling tooth and nail here, these guys in the midfield. Madtrav managed to get Phantom before the Parabolica on the restart lap, so taking 2 cars within 1 lap, and has got the job done already, and is now 1.8 seconds away from Phantom on lap 2 after the safety car. It's lap 21 of 27. There's just a handful of laps left to go, and there's a lot to sort out in the midfield here. Quinton leads the midfield, but only by a second, and he's wearing a 3-second penalty. Duckster, how hard can he fight? How long can he hold on? Can he live through the wear phase, the graining phase of these soft tyres, led by Nell behind him? I don't think so, but Neil's got a few drivers still to overtake before he can make a move. Simps is closing in on the back of him, of course, and he's going to be very aware of the driver behind him as he starts to make a move. If he goes offline, if he takes a speculative move, he could end up losing lots of places. The Aston Martin of Not Shumi going to the inside of the track. Looks like a little bit of a bump and run possibly from Neil, who hits the back of Simps. Simps spinning the rear wheels, unable to get the traction down, and has lost several places, just as I was saying. Unfortunately, struggling through there. It's Kimi that has had a really bad run and down into P8 now.
And Simps, he just did not have a good turn 1 and 2 at all. No. As you said, Nail taking advantage of that and getting around him. But Simps, even though he's in 7th place, he doesn't really seem to be in a comfortable 7th place, really having a hard time to get a hang of that car. But maybe he'll have the DRS on Nail down this straightaway here. We'll have to wait and see. I think that rear wing might just be open. Yes, it is. So the Haas does have DRS, but he is stuck in, what do you know, a DRS train. So he really can't go anywhere. Nail trying to get around Shumi, and wow, almost some contact between the two, because Shumi was a little bit slow off the corner. So Nail going to battle side by side as they enter Parabolica. But that's the thing, though. Which one of these drivers is going to have to give? It is going to be Shumi that gives just a little bit, but only a little bit. Very close. Almost contact, but not quite. Oh, and the Haas car. The Haas car has spun. Simps is around.
Another Haas spin tonight, and we've seen that a number of times. Back up the front, though, it's Quentin challenging for 2nd place on Phantom, and looked like he's got the job done before the braking zone, or at least finishing it off. And up to P2 for Quentin on the road, at least. And his battle to try and defend from that penalty he's picked up already is helped along here. Simps has retired in the pits, I believe. He managed to make it to the pits and has retired, so he won't be picking up his finishing bonus points tonight. And we resume battle in the midfield. nobody shedding a tear for the loss of one of the cars. They're just focusing on either the mirrors or the car or the diffuser of the car in front. It looks like Neil the most likely to make a move next, as he's heading down towards Ascari here with DRS, forced to the outside by Duckster. I think he'll get the job done before even the second bridge. Yeah, he has. And up to P4 for Neil. He needs to stay within 3 seconds of Quentin to have a hope of getting onto that podium. Duckster heading down the grid, but not Schumi.
Not Schumi is spun out of the Ascari chicane. We both saw it, Willow.
Whoa, and just behind him, it's Vino. They're almost in synchronized spins. I just saw the tail end of Vino's situation. He spun as well. Is this the tire life just giving up on the cars? It can't be the case for Vino, but it was almost certainly the case for Not Schumi. 10 laps on the medium, car getting light, aero being disturbed from cars in front, and Not Schumi tumbling down the order to P11. But thankfully no major damage. He had a pretty extreme reverse across the circuit and did hit the back wing, so if he's escaped rear wing damage, I'll be surprised. But it looks like Neil is closing in on Phantom. Neil's got some very good pace at this stage. Phantom fighting slightly wounded on those old medium tires.
Yeah, and Neil, you rightly said, he does have good pace. He's looking very good. Could definitely be on for a podium here today. And that would be bitter for Phantom, but sweet for Neil. But Neil's going to have to get around Phantom, which really should be easy here with the DRS. No DRS train, just straight DRS and pace. And as you said, those old medium tires on Phantom is not going to do him any favors. And Neil gets around them with relative ease. And I think that is pretty much a done deal for Neil. As long as he stays away from disaster for the remaining laps, he should be on for a podium. The question is, though, is how quickly can Quentin get away from Phantom? Because if Phantom is able to stay right on the back of Neil, then he could still get a podium, and Quentin will be dropping back.
Yeah, talking about dropping back, Royal Viking had a difficult progression through the Lesmos that time and has dropped down the order. I think he may have picked up damage. He looks a lot slower than the cars around him and is getting overtaken. He's almost at the back of the grid. I'm not quite sure what has happened to Jaime Alonso. He's a long way back. Must have picked up some issue. We'll see if there's a pit stop coming for the AlphaTauri car. No, he progresses through the grid. Perhaps not worth it. He stands to perhaps not be at risk of losing a position from Jaime Alonso at this point. We've got 3 groups of drivers here. We've got Madtrav in a race of his own. The only person I think can stop him is himself. We've got Quentin, Neil, Phantom, Don Rabico and Duckster all together. A little gap, followed by Tiago and Calvin. Then Kimi, Not Schumi, Vino are together. Royal Viking just finishing on the tail of those guys, and Jaime Alonso a long way back from the rest of the field, but looking to try and get his finisher points tonight if he possibly can.
And Don Rabico flirting with a 4th place position at the moment with Phantom. Had a moment through the Ascari chicane to where maybe they were thinking about going side by side, but thought better of it. And Don Rabico actually clipped a curb just now, so that actually helped him through Parabolica, gave him the car just a little bit more rotation. And now he's going to have DRS, and he should have, or had, the slipstream. And now he's going to go around the Ferrari. It's going to be a side by side battle. Phantom is trying to battle, but ultimately cannot do anything with the very fast McLaren that just went around him. So moved Don Rabico up into the 4th position. Phantom back to 5th. Phantom's just going to be left to pick up the pieces at this point.
Yeah, the oldest rivalry in the book is Ferrari versus McLaren, and McLaren currently on top of the Ferrari team, at least around their home track. Looks like Neil is closing in on the back of Quentin. Slightly unfair fight, although their tyres will be roughly similar in terms of grip right now. 10-lap-old mediums for Quentin, 7-lap-old for Neil on the softs. They'll probably be feeling somewhat similar, but Quentin, with a penalty to pay, won't be able to defend from Neil, and Dom Rabico is trying to get a double McLaren podium finish here tonight.
And they could be on for a double podium finish because, as you say, and as we've been talking about, Quentin, with that 3-second time penalty, he's going to lose out. And he's got 10 laps on the medium tires. He's just not as quick as maybe you would expect. And this is about when those medium tires could be coming to life and when the soft tires should be wearing out. But it looks like Neil just has a lot more raw pace than the Red Bull driver. So Quentin, he's obviously trying very hard to defend. He wants this podium, and he can still get this podium because he just needs to stay 3 seconds ahead of Don Rabico and not pick up another time penalty. But it is the final lap, so if he's going to do that, he has to do it now.
Yeah. A-firm on that one. We've got Madtrav has got a 7.3 second lead as he starts his final lap and has lapped Ima Alonso, so saving him from having to do all 27 laps from his seat. Neil could do a favour for his teammate here and start to battle Quintin and hold him up on the circuit and bring him within danger of Dom Rabico. This is going to be mighty close as they finish this race to see whether Dom Rabico can in fact get on the podium. He needs to be within 3 seconds of Quintin's car. Matrav's untroubled. He's got one more route through Ascari, using the curb still feeling pretty confident. That car looking like it's driving on rails, and he's just got the one corner left to go before we see a potential victory come to its conclusion. He goes round the parabolica. He leans on the car on the outside. Still pushing is Madtrav. I wonder if he's going for a fastest lap. And Madtrav wins round 4 of the championship. His 3rd win already in Monza. Quintin holds off, I think, Neil on the road, but will lose out to him. So Neil will get the 2nd place. It looks like Dom Rabico overtook both of them. I think Neil picked up a penalty on those last few corners and handed the podium back to Quintin. So Dom Rabico gets a podium by 0.03 of a second. Duckster crosses the line and gets a 5th place, racing in the wrong seat. So he'll be getting points for Alpine tonight. Phantom and Tiago, a formation finish for the Ferraris in 6th and 7th. But Calvin down there in 8th place. Then Kimi with a troubled night, qualified well, but has really struggled through the race, down to P9. Notsumi in 10th. Vino, Royal Viking and Ima Alonso will well, he's already crossed the finish line, so we won't need to see him again. But I didn't see what happened between the McLarens and the Red Bull at the end of the lap, but it seems like Dom Rabico made it all the way through.
Yeah, and sadly for the McLaren driver, he that lost out on the podium. He did pick up a time penalty on the very final lap 27. Not sure exactly where it was. I missed it as well, but he lost out on the podium right when it mattered most. But Quintin, he was able to at least take advantage of that, so congratulations to him on the podium finish today.
Yeah, it looked like we were looking back down the start-finish straight as they crossed the line. It looked like the lead McLaren of Neil was almost celebrating before the race had been completed. It looked like he was getting very close to the pit wall and may have caused his own warnings to be tripped over into a penalty. But maybe you could do us a favour and take us through the finishing order of the race for us, Tim, please.
And we have Madtrav winning his 3rd race of the season. Don Rabico in 2nd, Quintin in 3rd, Neil in 4th with Dukester in 5th. Then SAF1 Phantom in the Ferrari, a 6th place finish and 7th place finish for the home manufacturer. 8th place, of course, Tiago Maestro in the 7th position. And then Calvin Racing in 8th, Kimi in 9th. 10th is Notsumi. Then 11th, you have Vino with Royal Viking in 12th. Ima Alonso in 13th. 14th is Simps Rai in 15th. 16th is Zardi. Hamrick in 17th, and 18th is Maddie.
So we're going to be asked, after I just thank our sponsors one more time, we're going to be asked for our drivers of the day, our personal driver nominations for the day. So we'll just have to give that a moment's thought. Our sponsors today have been Quintessential Photo and Video Works, Rabico Holdings and DR Developments, and we thank them very much for their support. I'll come to you first, I guess. Tim, any nominations stand out for you as driver of the day?
Now that one is a tough one. I was thinking in a way Tiago Maestro, but also Don Rabico, who, correct me if I'm wrong, came from 11th to finish where he did today. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give it to the McLaren driver of Don Rabico. He did a fantastic job and found his way to a good finish.
Yeah, I would stand with that, but I think I'm going to lean towards Thiago. I think he had a very good race in the Ferrari, so he's going to be my nomination, and we'll have to make it a nice difficult decision for Quentin to join to make a decision on that one. We've got some drivers joining the press conference, and we'll take our questions in turn, myself and Tim. So we'll try and make sure that we ask the questions that matter. Madtrav, I think, has joined, and we better give the first questions out to you, Madtrav. Congratulations on 3 wins. Congratulations. Was it ever in doubt tonight?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was my easiest race. I was having a problem with my braking leg. Coming into the corners, it would like just spasm, so that wasn't fun. But I mean, yeah, it's always been a good track for me, Monza. I think almost every race I've ever done, I've won. So I had confidence in the track. It was just a matter of trying to stay off these curbs, which send you to outer space. So that was it was fun. Yeah, so.
And I have a question for you, Matt Travis. When the safety car came out there late in the race, obviously it was going to be a no-brainer for you to go ahead and make a pit stop, but did that ever cast doubt over the fact that you had a fast car and that you were going to possibly be able to win, or were you still very confident in your chances?
Yeah, safety car definitely, I would say, played into my hands, meaning I dropped to 3rd. But I was looking at the delta, and I was actually pulling out time on the guys on the hards. So it would have been close if there wasn't a safety car, but I think I definitely still would have been able to win the race at least.
Excellent. I like the confidence. Talk me through, Madtrav, your qualifying tactics, particularly in Q2. It looked like you went out on a soft run and you sandbagged quite considerably to make sure you wouldn't start too far up the road, and you had the chance to get a better time on the medium tyres. Would that match your approach?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much before everyone else starts doing it, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, well, it was certainly unusual, and I wondered what was happening to start with, but that was brilliant stuff. It looked like you very much had a fantastic strategic call tonight. Medium to soft tyre was the way to go, and the safety car wasn't a big disaster for you on the timing. But yeah, congratulations on that one. We will go and have a chat with Don Rabico, who picked up, I think, the 2nd position. We were somewhat surprised to see the other McLaren have a penalty towards the end. But Don, in 2nd place, congratulations, a good podium.
Thank you. I'm not really sure how I got there. I just got there. I saw before the safety car, I was on hard, and I was sitting 3rd, and then the safety car came out. I was like, damn, I lost my chance at the podium. Now everybody's going to pit and change tires. But I saw some people didn't pit, so they lost out, and we ended up overtaking them back after the safety car. So that was a good run from us. And then towards the end, I saw Quentin had a 3-second penalty. I said, let me push ERS. Let me try to get him. And then he was so close towards the last corner, towards the last turn, just before the straight to the finish line. He lost some time that side, and then I made up some time, and I caught up to his 3-second penalty.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I got there. It's just luck. I think I just kept it on the road, and then tried to keep on going.
So Don, can you tell us about what happened there with your teammate there at the end, who seemingly could have had a podium himself?
I think he just slowed down because he's on reserve and he didn't want to steal the points from us. So I think he just slowed down and came 4th just to give me the points, maybe.
Wow, so handing some points to Quentin in so doing. I think we had the chance of a double McLaren podium. And Quentin, were you expecting to finish the race and get the podium in the end? It looked like it was getting very close.
Yeah, thank you guys, and well done, Travis and Don Rabico, for making it onto the podium and winning the race. Monza is a track I love, so I always have fairly decent pace here. Qualifying didn't go as well as I was hoping it would. I also wanted to start on the mediums, but my pace just wasn't there. Had a good start, just braked a little bit too late, and I had to take the run off, which then gave me that instant 3-second time penalty, which I didn't actually expect, so it was a bit surprising. So I had to be extra cautious the entire race, not to pick up any warnings. You know, just in case I pick up another penalty, it would definitely ruin my chances. But yeah, after the first safety car, I didn't think a podium was possible, and then when I stayed out with the second safety car, I knew it was going to be very, very close towards the end, and I was expecting the soft runners to come through the field. My main focus was to just clear Phantom and Dukester because they were the closest to me in the championship points. I didn't really mind if Neil or Rabiko finished ahead of me because we're not that close in points at the moment. So, yeah, and I'm not sure what happened to Neil. I think he did lift off at the end, or maybe when he left the session, there was a timing glitch or something. We'll investigate that. But yeah, I'm happy to be on the podium. Didn't expect it. It was very, very close towards the end. I was pushing so hard on those mediums. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And Quentin, tell us about what it's like to deal with the time penalty that you had to for pretty much for the majority of the race, because it's not like you picked it up at the end. So what was going through your mind to overcome that?
Well, the penalty I didn't get, I made a mistake braking late. So in my mind, I was thinking that, you know, I might just report it and ask the stewards to review it. Whether they remove it or not, I don't know, and I doubt that they will. But just to keep my side clean, I tried not to pick up any warnings after that penalty. So there were times when I needed to be a little bit careful when I'm pushing the limits, because picking up a warning is so easy on certain parts of the track. So it definitely slows you down a little bit because you have to be extra clean.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was an action-packed race. There was, as usual in Monza, there was something going on, if not 2 or 3 things going on every single lap. So it would be well worth a watch back. We're very grateful for our podium drivers to come and have a chat and let us know how their sessions went. We're grateful to our sponsors who have provided the racing tonight, and of course everybody who has taken the time out to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Any closing thoughts or review of your first SAF1 race with us, Tim?
Well, for it being my first SAF1 race, I have to say that it probably could not have been much more of an action-packed race, especially from pretty much lap 1. I don't think I have ever in any esports league seen such a hectic lap 1, and yet at the same time very clean. You know, very minimal as far as contact, and I don't think really any offs on the first lap, maybe a time penalty or 2, but it was incredible, it was entertaining, and I was glad to be able to watch it.
Yeah, for sure, and we were very glad to have you here and give my voice a bit of a rest, at least in between me just droning on. So great to have you as part of the stream, and I hope we can continue likewise for many more races. Where can people follow you on socials, Tim?
Well, that's the thing. I kind of don't do social media. I'm just my own kind of person.
No problem. Well, they can contact you on Discord if they want to contact you on Discord, they can do so. Obviously from within the league, they can find me on Twitter at WebberRed5, where you can see the other streams that I launch. But of course, make sure you subscribe to that channel. On SAF1 when you close the video tonight, because you won't miss next week's race. Same time, same place. We'll go out for round 5 of the championship, and let's see who else is able to topple Madtrav from the very top, and his pole and win combination that's been so prevalent so far in this early part of the season. It's been a great night. Really enjoyed it, and I will wish everyone good night from myself and from Tim, and we will catch you on the next race day.